In today's episode, let's read about smudging from Incense Magick, a book by F Neal. Namaste everyone and welcome to Om Incense Show with DJ, a show that helps you increase your incense quotient. So if you are an incense enthusiast, consider subscribing. So you might want to consider this as a podcast and grab your favorite beverage and snacks and just relax while I give you company. So we are reading from page number 196 from this book, Incense Magick. Create inspiring aromatic experiences for your craft. This is a book by F Neal. I'll be linking the book in the description box, so you might just want to check that out. So let's read what it says about smudging. So it says smudging. Using combustible incense, this is chapter 11, page 195. It says combustible incense offers flexibility in most cases that can't be found in the world of non-combustibles. The ability to take incense ready for use with you just by grabbing a cone or stick is a technological advancement beyond the paraphernalia and materials needed for many types of non-combustible incense. Combustible incense is the choice of the modern pagan on the go. So now we come to page number 196 and read about smudging. It says smudging. The oldest form of combustible incense is also the simplest smudging. It refers to the use of smoldering bundles of dried herbs to scent both spaces and objects. Smudging is a tradition among numerous indigenous people in North America and is becoming more common every year within many pagan circles. Bundles of sweet grass are often braided together to make large smudge sticks. Dried bundles of white sage are also commonly used. Smudging is a way to use the pure power of fragrant smoke to cleanse and purify. Smudging bundles are sometimes held in the hand, or more frequently the smoldering herbs are held in a special bowl or shell. This is an advantageous approach since bundles of herbs can come apart during use and scatter burning materials. As with any kind of incense burner or censer, you need to handle the bowl or shell with care. Although smudging bundles tend to burn with less heat than charcoal tablets or large incense cones, the bowl can still get hot enough to burn you. If you choose to hold the bundle in your hand, still keep a bowl or shell handy to catch ashes. It's also handy if you unexpectedly need to put the smudging bundle aside momentarily. Smudging is often carried out with the aid of a feather as well. A large feather is a great tool for moving smoke to a specific place. Since one of the primary goals of smudging is cleansing, the smoke may need some help to reach every place it needs to go. Gently fanning or drawing the smoke with a feather will allow the smoke to reach every nook and cranny, a process called incense sweeping. Smoke can be similarly moved with your hands, although feathers are more adept at the process since they were created to direct the flow of air. In addition to cleansing people and open spaces, smudging herbs are also used to cleanse doorways and windows by moving the herbs around the entire outline of the opening. For example, to smudge a doorway, you might begin with the bowl at the bottom of the doorway and then raise the bowl to trace the entire outline of the door, ending where you began. People can be smudged in a very similar way if the need for cleansing is great. Beginning at the feet, moving to the head, and then back to the feet on the other side of the body is very effective. More commonly, the bowl is offered to a person who uses the smoke much like water. As the person doing the smudging holds the bowl or moves it around the head of the person, she can reach into the smoke and draw it off with a feather or her hands. The smoke can be drawn towards the top of the head and down the length of the body. This process is not only an external one. The person being smudged is also offered the smoke as a way of shifting into a more magical state of mind, as well as releasing accumulated negative energies. In many traditions, smudging goes beyond simply touching the smoke to the face and head or even feet. Some call for smoke to be drawn to the mouth, eyes, and ears to purify the entire self. The smoke draws away negative energies, not merely external negative energies that have been accumulated, but also the negative energies from our own thoughts and the words that have come through our mouths. Personally, I see this as a symbolic gesture, much like holding an incense burner to your ear in order to listen to the incense. Smudging your ears and mouth is a symbolic release of the undesirable things you've heard or said. You are magically washing your mouth out with soap is, I suppose, one way to look at it. Entire rooms or even buildings can be smudged as well, although that can be a very time-consuming process. A room that is regularly smudged can be cleansed in just a few moments by carrying the smoldering herbs around the room. A room in serious need of cleansing will require much more work. The smoke needs to reach both the floor and the ceiling, along with every corner and turn in the room. As you might guess, it could take an hour or more to smudge a room with a large amount of negative energy, such as a place where you had repeated arguments or where an act of violence took place. Smudging an entire building might require multiple sessions to thoroughly cleanse each room and entry. Smudging is often done as a first cleansing step before ritual magic. Like all incense, smudging is an excellent first step in separating sacred space from the ordinary world. Not only does smudging help to remove the negative energies and shift the mindset of those participating, it can also serve as a sort of magical announcement that the space is about to be enchanted. Smudging doesn't have to mean that, but it often does. The fragrant smoke tells all beings, both physical and spiritual, that a change has been made. It is a sort of preliminary invitation to deities and other beings beyond the physical plane. I like to think of it as a turning on a magical porch light, letting the world know that I am here and welcome to visitors. Many different plants can be used in smudging, but sage and sweetgrass are most commonly used. In many Native American traditions, smudging with sage is seen as a process of cleansing and purification. This may be followed with smudging using sweetgrass, which is sometimes seen as a plant that will draw positive energy. Other native traditions see both sage and sweetgrass as purifying plants. Many different companies offer smudging bundles, but you can also make your own very easily. Although sweetgrass and white sage are the most traditional, a wide range of herbs can be used. A bundle of dried rosemary is a powerfully fragrant way to smudge. Any herb that dries well on the stem might be a candidate for smudging. Flowers aren't always the best choice, but the foliage from the same plant might be. Lavender flowers, for example, are pretty thin on the stems, and you would need heaps of them to make a bundle. On the other hand, a bundle of lavender stems covered with leaves can work well. You can also mix stems with leaves and stems with flowers. You don't need to limit yourself to a single kind of herb in a bundle either. If you have several good candidates, try braiding them together. The herbs should be gathered while fresh and green, then bundled or braided before drying. You may need to tie the bundles with string at both the top and bottom. Many herbs are wrapped with string from top to bottom to keep them tightly bound while in use. The string will burn as the herbs smolder, so it's a good way to help your herbs stay together throughout the process. Harvest McCampbell, the author of The Sacred Smoke, recommends using only 100% cotton string to avoid possible toxins released from synthetic string. I completely agree with her. McCampbell also recommends that you allow material gathered for smudging to wilt for a few hours before bundling, but make certain to tie up the bundles before the material dries or becomes brittle. And then he gives a few rituals about home cleansing and self-purification, personal purification he calls it. And then he moves on to talking about sticks and jaw sticks and masala sticks and all of those things. So that is what we had to read about today about the smudging. Now on my channel I have a few episodes where I talk of how I smudge my house, and here in India we usually don't use white sage or things like people in the Americas use or people elsewhere use. We typically use we typically use any kind of loban or guggal and camphor and a mixture of those things to smudge the entire house, and it is mostly a daily process where it's done either once in morning or once in evening, or most people like to do it twice. If there are people at home, if there are housewives who are at home, they like to do it twice. So it's a kind of an incense mixture which is used on hot coal or coconut shell or coconut coir or charcoal tablet, or these days we even like to smudge with incense cups where we fill it with desired mixture, or like in some cases I just get incense cups from people who I know are making good ones and I use them to smudge my house. And it's usually a process of anywhere between 7 to 21 days depending on the kind of time that I have in hand. And I usually start it with an oath. So it's called sankalp here. So we take an oath and we let the we let the universe know for how long we'll be doing and for how many times during those days we'll be doing. So that's how I do my stuff, and I have a few episodes on my channel. I'll be linking them in the description, so just in case you're interested in knowing how I smudge my house regularly, you might want to check out those episodes. So that's all we had to read about today. Actually, I had some kind of an appointment with 2 doctors and I couldn't make an episode this week. So the review of the incense will be done on Friday, and so tune in on Friday to check out an incense review. For now, take care and let's meet on Friday. Namaste.